Ambassador Kethvar had negotiated peace treaties across 17 star systems, but nothing had prepared him for the sight before him. The towering Zephyrian's forearms trembled as he stood in the ruins of New Geneva, his compound eyes struggling to process the devastation that stretched beyond the horizon. The once proud human colony world lay in smoking ruins. Crystalline spires that had reached toward the sky now jutted from the ground like broken teeth. The atmosphere itself seemed to weep, thick with ash and the acrid smell of vaporized settlements. "This was unnecessary," Ambassador Chen whispered beside him, her voice barely audible above the wind howling through the skeletal remains of what had been home to 12 million humans. The elderly diplomat's hands shook as she surveyed the graveyard of her people's dreams. Kethvar's translator crackled as he tried to find words in any of the 47 languages he spoke fluently. Ambassador Chen, the Hegemony Council. They issued the ultimatum. Humanity was given the choice. Submit to slavery or face extinction. Chen finished, her voice carrying a coldness that made the alien diplomat's exoskeleton shiver. "Yes, we received your generous offer." The galactic hegemony had been explicit in their demands. Humanity, despite being a relatively new species to the galactic community, had developed technologies that threatened the established order. Their fusion drives were more efficient, their AI systems more intuitive, their medical advances more revolutionary than anything achieved by species that had been spacefaring for millennia. The solution, according to the Council's wisdom, was simple. Humanity would surrender all technological independence, submit to hegemony oversight, and provide their innovations freely to the more deserving elder races. In return, they would be allowed to exist as a client species under protection. Humanity's response had been equally simple: no. "The hegemony gave you every opportunity," Kethvar said, though his voice lacked conviction. 17 worlds. You could have surrendered any one of them as a gesture of good faith. "So you chose to make an example of New Geneva," Chen interrupted. "A peaceful colony, agricultural world. No military installations, no strategic value. Just families trying to build something beautiful among the stars." She turned to face him, and Kethvar was shocked to see not grief in her ancient eyes, but something far more terrifying: calculation. "You wanted to break our spirit," she continued. "Show us the cost of defiance. Make us understand that resistance was futile." Chen's lips curved into something that might have once been a smile. "Ambassador Kethvar, I'm afraid you've made a catastrophic miscalculation." "The demonstration was meant to prevent a larger conflict," Kethvar protested. "Surely you understand that continued resistance will only lead to more worlds sharing this fate." "Oh, we understand perfectly," Chen said, walking toward the ruins of what had been the colony's central spire. "In fact, you've taught us something invaluable about galactic politics." She stopped beside a memorial that somehow still stood among the devastation, a simple stone marker bearing the names of the dead, all 12 million of them. "You see, Ambassador, you made the same mistake that every empire throughout history has made when dealing with humanity. You assumed that fear would break us, that showing us the consequences of defiance would make us submit." Kethvar's compound eyes focused on her with growing unease. "Ambassador Chen, I urge you to reconsider. The hegemony's military might is irrelevant," Chen said quietly. "Do you know what you've actually accomplished here, Ambassador?" She gestured to the devastation around them. "You've united humanity in a way that nothing else could have. Every human colony, every settlement, every ship in space now knows exactly what the hegemony offers as protection. You've taken away our illusions about peaceful coexistence. The Council will be reasonable if humanity shows proper deference." "No," Chen said, and her voice carried the finality of a closing tomb. "The time for diplomacy ended the moment your forces opened fire on civilian targets. You demanded war, Ambassador. and now you're going to get it." Kethvar's forearms spread in a gesture of confusion. "Ambassador, you cannot seriously believe that humanity can stand against the combined might of 47 spacefaring civilizations. Your species controls barely 30 worlds, 37 actually," Chen corrected. "And you're right, we can't win a conventional war. But then again, humans have never— Your species developed nuclear weapons before achieving spaceflight," Kethvar recited. "You fought numerous conflicts over territorial disputes and resource allocation. Primitive but tenacious." "Tenacious," Chen repeated with amusement. "That's one word for it. Let me tell you about a concept from human military doctrine, Ambassador. It's called asymmetric warfare." The wind picked up, carrying with it the sound of approaching ships. Human ships, their engines singing a low, harmonious note that Kethvar had never heard before. "When facing a superior enemy," Chen continued, "humans don't fight the enemy's war. We fight our own war. We make them play by our rules, in our chosen arena, at our preferred time." "What are you saying?" Kethvar demanded, his translator struggling with harmonics of barely contained menace in her voice. "I'm saying that you've just discovered why Earth was classified as a death world, Ambassador. Not because of our planet's environment, but because of what that environment created." Chen smiled again, and this time there was nothing human left in the expression. "You wanted to see what happens when humanity swears vengeance. You're about to find out." The approaching ships resolved into view sleek human vessels that moved with predatory grace. But something was different about them. They seemed to bend light around their hulls, and their energy signatures were unlike anything in the galactic database. "For the past 6 months, while your council debated and issued ultimatums, human engineers have been very busy," Chen explained. "We've been studying every piece of hegemony technology we could acquire. Learning your weaknesses, mapping your supply lines, identifying the critical points in your civilization's infrastructure." "You're talking about terrorism." "We're talking about war," Chen corrected. "The war you demanded. The war you started when you murdered 12 million innocent people to make a point." One of the human ships landed nearby, its ramp extending with mechanical precision. From within emerged figures in armor that seemed to absorb light itself, human soldiers, but changed somehow, enhanced beyond what nature had intended. "You see, Ambassador, you taught us something important today. You showed us that the galaxy operates on the principle of might making right.